They reached the door, but it wouldn't budge. The handle rattled violently in Mika's grip. Behind them, the dragging sound grew louder, closer, each step deliberate. Tokyo, midsummer. The day had long faded into dusk, but the biology lab was still lit by a pale yellow glow. Rows of glass jars shimmered faintly, each containing frogs, organs, or nameless specimens suspended in murky liquid. The air smelled of ethanol and chalk dust. Mika and Aya were the last ones left in the school. The cleaning duty had dragged on longer than expected.
Most students hated staying after dark, not because of detention, but because of what people whispered about our school.
Aya leaned on a desk, spinning a pen between her fingers. Her reflection in the glass cabinet looked faint, almost like another person watching from the inside.
Hey, Mikai, have you ever heard about the 7 mysteries of this place?
You mean the urban legends every school in Japan seems to have?
Yeah, ours are different.
Mika laughed softly, half joking, half nervous. Outside, the sunset faded completely, and the hallway beyond the door turned pitch black.
All right, enlighten me. What's so special about our version?
They say they started after the biology teacher disappeared, about 20 years ago.
The hum of the ceiling fan seemed to grow louder. Mika frowned, turning off the mop's dripping tap.
Wait, you mean someone really disappeared?
They found his car parked by the woods behind the school, but he never came back.
Aya walked toward the tall storage cabinet by the window. Inside, beneath a cover, stood the human anatomy model. Half flesh, half exposed organs. Its glass eyes caught the fluorescent light, giving it a lifelike sheen.
I always hated that thing.
Then maybe you shouldn't know what people say about it.
Mika froze. Aya's tone was teasing, but her expression was unreadable. The night insects began to sing outside, soft, endless, almost synchronized.
Fine, tell me, what's the story?
There are 2. One says the model walks around the campus after midnight, dragging its half-finished leg along the hallway.
That's so cliché.
The other one's worse. They say it's not a model at all. It's built from real human bones.
The words hung in the air. The sound of something small, maybe a metal clamp, fell onto the floor behind them with a dull clink. Both girls turned. Nothing moved.
Every Japanese school had its share of ghost stories, but that night, in the stillness of the biology lab, Aya's voice made it feel real.
I'm telling you, Mikai, that's just the first of the 7 mysteries.
All right, I get it. Don't need to scare me more.
The girls glanced at the clock. 6:30 p.m.
Well, we should wrap up. Everyone else is heading home anyway.
Yeah, better get out before it gets too late.
They switched off the lights, packed up their things, and left the lab. Outside, the summer night was still warm. Crickets singing softly in the distance.
We didn't talk about it on the way home. It was like the story never happened, a fleeting thought that faded by the time I reached my front door.
Aya nodded in agreement, and soon, each of them went their separate ways, leaving the school empty and silent. The next day, the science club meeting dragged on longer than anyone expected. Experiments, demonstrations, and debates kept the students busy. Mika glanced at the clock. 7:50 p.m.
Hours passed like minutes. Speakers clinked, papers rustled, laughter filled the lab, and slowly, one by one, everyone left.
By the time the last club member left, only Mika and Aya remained.
Finally quiet.
Yeah, too quiet.
The fluorescent lights flickered. Shadows in the corners seemed to stretch unnaturally. The human anatomy model by the window appeared almost alive under the dim glow, its half-face staring blankly.
Yesterday's story, the one we laughed about and forgot, it suddenly felt alive, and tonight, it wasn't just a story anymore.
The last club member had finally shut the door behind them, leaving the lab in an uneasy silence. The air felt thicker now, heavier somehow, as though the room itself was holding its breath. Mika rubbed her arms and glanced toward Agaya.
It's really quiet now.
Too quiet. Makes you think about last night's story, doesn't it?
Don't start. I want to pretend we never talked about it.
Aya smirked but didn't reply. She went to tidy a stack of papers near the window, her reflection flickering in the glass of the jars. Mika's eyes wandered to the human anatomy models. Its half-exposed organs glistened faintly, catching the dim fluorescent light. For a moment it seemed off.
It was just a model, I told myself. Plastic, fiberglass, the same one we'd seen every day. But something about it felt different. Watching it made the room feel smaller, the shadows longer.
A low creak echoed from the corner of the lab. Mika froze.
Aya, did you hear that?
Hear what?
That creak, like a floorboard, or something moving.
Aya looked over, calm but alert.
Probably just the building settling. Old schools do that, remember?
It didn't sound like settling.
Another creak, louder this time. Mika's pulse raced. She took a cautious step toward the anatomy model. A faint moonlight from the window fell on its half face. Something about the jaw seemed slightly tilted.
Aya, the model.
It's just the jaw, Mika. Don't freak out.
Mika nodded, trying to calm herself. Yet, as she exhaled, she noticed the model's right hand had shifted. Its plastic fingers were now curled differently. Her stomach churned.
I didn't move it.
Neither did I.
The lights flickered again, briefly plunging the room into darkness. When the glow returned, the model's head had turned slightly, its glassy eyes now seemingly focused on Mika.
Aya, it's looking at me.
Mika, stay calm. It's just...
A soft, dragging sound cut her off. The model's left leg shifted forward, the heel scraping faintly against the floor. The sound echoed, slow and deliberate, across the empty lab.
My breath caught in my throat. Everything we'd joked about the 7 mysteries suddenly felt real. The model wasn't plastic anymore. Not fully. Something had woken.
Mika reached for Aya's arms.
We need to leave.
No, look.
The model's head turned fully toward them, and a faint, metallic click sounded as if a joint locked. Then, just as suddenly, it froze. The room went utterly silent. Too silent. Even the air felt still.
Aya, this isn't funny anymore.
I know.
Then came a whisper, soft and barely audible, like someone breathing through the shadows.
Do you remember me?
Mika's eyes darted around. The sound seemed to come from nowhere and everywhere. The jars rattled slightly, and the faint scent of something iron-like filled the air.
Aya, I'm serious. We need to get out.
Wait, look at the floor.
Mika's gaze dropped. Tiny footprints, damp and dark, led from the model's position toward the center of the lab. Each step left a faint outline, like someone had walked through dust, but the lab floor had been freshly cleaned.
Every instinct screamed at me to run, but Aya, she didn't move. Her eyes were fixed on the model, as if she was waiting for something we weren't meant to see yet.
A low, mechanical creak sounded. The model shifted again, this time both hands lifting slowly, dragging slightly across the floor. Mika felt her knees weaken.
Aya, now!
Don't turn your back yet.
The model paused. Then, with a single, deliberate step, moved closer. The shadows around it stretched, forming grotesque, unnatural shapes across the lab walls.
I realized in that moment we had never left the story behind. It had followed us here, and it was awake.
The model stood a few feet away now, its glass eyes reflecting the faint light like tiny pools of something alive. Shadows curled unnaturally along the walls, stretching toward Mika and Aya.
Aya, we need to leave, now!
I can't look away. Something's wrong.
The dragging sound grew louder, deliberate, each step echoing across the empty lab. The model's half-exposed organs seemed to ripple, as if something beneath the plastic was pulsing.
Every story we'd laughed at the day before, every warning whispered by the students who claimed to see it move, they were real, and now, it was here, closer than we ever imagined.
Mika tried to back away, but her foot caught on a stool. She stumbled, almost falling. The model tilted its head toward her. For the first time, its jaw seemed to move, creaking faintly, like a lock turning.
Do you remember me?
Mika's heart pounded in her chest. Alaya stepped forward, almost hypnotized, and touched the model's arm. The coldness of the plastic, or what felt like real flesh, sent a shiver up her spine.
It's like it knows us.
It knows nothing! Come on, we have to!
Before she could finish, the model shifted again, stepping closer. A faint metallic clatter sounded as a joint locked into place. Its fingers twitched toward Mika. Mika and Aya scrambled backward, knocking over a stool. The sound echoed through the empty lab, louder than expected. In the corner, jars rattled, some tipping over. The faint iron-like scent intensified.
Aya, we can't stay here.
There's something under it, look.
Mika followed her gaze. Beneath the model, the floor appeared scuffed and marked. Not just footprints, but faint impressions, as if someone, or something, had shuffled in place, pacing. The marks glowed faintly in the moonlight.
I realized, in that moment, the model was more than wood, plastic, or even bones. Something from the old stories, something buried in the school's history, had taken form.
The lab lights flickered violently. The model stepped forward again, its head twisted unnaturally, eyes fixed on Mika. Mechanical grinding noise began, like the sound of gears turning deep inside.
Run!
Wait, don't leave me!
They bolted toward the door. The model's footsteps echoed behind them, dragging, scraping, relentless. The shadows on the walls warped, forming shapes that mimicked their movements, almost as if the room itself was alive.
I had never feared anything like this before. Not ghosts, not legends. This was something that had crossed from story into reality.
They reached the door, but it wouldn't budge. The handle rattled violently in Mika's grip. Behind them, the dragging sound grew louder, closer, each step deliberate. The model was almost upon them.
The window! Hurry!
They sprinted toward the large glass window at the far end of the lab. It rattled under their combined weight. Mika's fingers scraped the metal frame, finally forcing it open. The night air rushed in, cool and heavy with the scent of summer cicadas.
We leapt out, the hard ground slamming into our knees. I could hear the dragging footsteps behind us, then silence. The lab door slowly closed, leaving only shadows inside.
They scrambled across the empty courtyard, hearts pounding. When they finally looked back, the window glowed faintly. And for a second, Mika swore she saw the model standing at the window, watching them, its half-face illuminated by the moonlight.
It didn't follow us.
For now, but I'm not sure it won't.
Mika's hand brushed her cheek, damp with sweat. She looked at Aya.
Do you believe the 7 mysteries now?
I believe we were never meant to know them all.
That night, the stories we had laughed at, forgotten by morning, returned with a vengeance, and the biology lab, with its jars and shadows, had become more than a room. It had become a warning.
If you think your school is just a place for lessons and laughter, think again. Some rooms, some stories, never sleep. Subscribe and follow Mika and Amaya as the 7 campus mysteries continue, each one darker than the last.